The 10-core M1 Pro and the M1 Max share the exact same CPU. Something I've always found really cool about Apple Silicon is the way that Apple implements scaling across their entire chipset, and a perfect example of that is the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. Because here's the thing, they made a binned version of the M1 Pro which had 8 cores, but the full-fledged version was 10 cores, whereas with the M1 Max, you actually didn't get a binned CPU, you got a binned GPU going from 24 cores to 32 cores. But those 10 CPU cores you got on the upgraded version of the M1 Pro and the standard version of the M1 Max are exactly the same. And if you don't believe me, here's a CPU test on the M1 Max using Geekbench 6 with 13,012 points, and over here on the M1 Pro, you have 12,859, which really the only reason this got a little lower is because it is more thermally limited than this big aluminum box. Now, before anybody hops in here and says, oh, look at Apple charging more for the same CPU, there are differences, and you can feel them depending on your workflow, so let me explain those. See, the M1 Pro was kind of meant to sit in the middle of the extremely power-efficient M1 that didn't quite get the performance that some professionals were looking for, but also still have more efficiency than the more powerful but more power-hungry M1 Max. That's why the M1 Pro and Max can share the same 10-core CPU, but the M1 Pro only has a 16 or 14-core GPU depending on which version you buy. Whereas the M1 Max very clearly focused on graphics, having a 24 or 32 core GPU with faster memory up to 400 gigabytes per second instead of 200 on the Pro, which is very beneficial for the GPU. You also get 2 video encoders and 2 ProRes encoders instead of 1 on the M1 Pro. Now, you can get the M1 Max chip in these laptops, but you have to keep in mind that with that performance gain, you are also sacrificing a bit of battery life. If you have the 16-inch model, it probably won't be felt as much, but if you have a 14-inch model, yeah, you're going to feel it. So if your workflow is much more CPU bound, you're probably not going to notice much of a difference between something like the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. But if your work has a lot of GPU heavy tasks, the M1 Max might be the version to go with. And that's why I find the way that Apple does scaling with their chips so cool. Same CPUs, but totally different tasks because of everything else baked into the chip. That's really cool.